Let's face it, the creative process is full of failures for all of us, but it's how you approach it. The next project, the next day, the next paint stroke that brings you from failure to success. I'll share my 5 things I never do anymore when painting acrylic art, so you can take action steps to keep the creativity moving if you're experiencing any of these failures, or maybe these tips will spare you the mistakes I've done in the past. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to learn more from the studio. Hi lovelies, I'm Eriksdotter and I specialize in custom pet portraits that lead the client to a place of healing. With any painting failures, the key is to move through our failures so we don't get stuck in ego with feelings of disappointment or indecision. Instead, take a moment to assess what's going on and then take the action step to keep the creative process moving. You don't want to stay stuck in that moment of failure or get down on yourself and having that self-doubt start creeping and you're getting on the emotional roller coaster and suddenly you won't be painting for months. Instead, assess the situation, take an action step, and move through the creative process. I received a question the other day from a lovely and delightful painter, and she asked if I sign my paintings with acrylic paint or a marker like a sharpie. And it's a really good question, and I wish I had learned the answer earlier in my acrylic painting career. And her question got me thinking how much I regret signing some of my portraits not in the proper way. And I thought I'd share this oops and some other painting fails so you can take action steps to keep that creativity moving if they happen to you. Here are the 5 things I never do anymore when painting my acrylic pet portraits. Number 1, rush the sketch. You know, I've rushed the sketching process a couple of times over the last decade or so and spent hours in sketching mode just to realize my sketch is off, or the composition doesn't look good, or the dog or the cat needs to be just a tad bit smaller on the canvas. But there it is, the sketch is already done. I don't rush the sketch anymore, or any prep work for that matter that goes into a pet portrait commission. It's not only creatively exhausting to start over on a new canvas, it's a waste of time and money. What do I do instead? I do mock-ups, I triple check measurements, I check all the reference photos that I have on hand even before I start sketching. And then I spend hours sketching and mapping things out that will be helpful to me. And this gives me time to make adjustments before I put the brush to the canvas. I allow the sketching process to take the time it needs so I can create the roadmap that will be supporting my painting process. Number 2, freestyle the background color. Earlier in my career in painting pet portraits, I would wing or freestyle the background color without much thought or planning, to be honest. I didn't feel confident in my own skills of painting backgrounds, so I just wanted to get it over with. This fear led me to some lackluster backgrounds with too many layers or slightly the wrong hue that I had initially wanted, and a couple of backgrounds that looked thicker compared to the rest of the portrait. I don't freestyle the background color anymore because the background deserves the same dedication and intention as the rest of the portrait. So what do I do instead? I plan ahead. I prepare my client what to expect. I ask them questions where the answers get me closer to honing in on the right color hues that would fit their portraits in their homes. I create and share samples with them. I collaborate with them. And I'm confident that I can exceed their expectations, while leading them through a maybe new to them color choosing process. Number 3, sign my portrait with a Sharpie. Oops. All right, it's time for the question from Diana the painter. How to sign the painting with your name, where and with what, etc. It truly matters. And I wish I had known all that earlier in my long painting career. I don't sign my portrait with a pencil or a Sharpie or anything else because signing the acrylic painting with anything else but acrylic paint actually changes the painting to a mixed media artwork. Now, this may not matter to you unless you're going to exhibit your painting and have to have it in the specific category of the acrylic painting. But did you know that the archival properties of a Sharpie is like only a decade and not for the century your now nameless masterpiece may survive? That's kind of important. So what do I do instead? I sign it with the acrylic paint and in a hue that is used within the portrait, and so it doesn't distract from the portrait itself. I want my signature to last for a long time. I love signing Eriksdotter on my pieces, and if my memorial portraits become cherished family heirlooms, I want the coming generations to know who painted that beloved cat or dog. You know, when we're going to the attic and we find a random painting and we know that Aunt Sally painted that or Rembrandt painted that, we know it because we see the signature, and it's important for sentimental value or for monetary value. I'm grateful I only signed a few with the Sharpie, but it worries me that my cherished Eriksdotter signature will disappear one day on those portraits. Number 4, blindly paint a pet without a step-by-step process. When I first started painting pets over a decade ago, I didn't really know what I was doing, to be honest. I just let my heart and curiosity lead the way. And I started getting commissions right away because I already had a loyal customer base who were willing to take a chance on me, which I'm so grateful for. So while it worked out, I don't paint pet portraits blindly anymore. Instead, I follow my own proven process for every pet portrait I paint. And this keeps me on point. I always know what step I'm on, where to go next, and within this practice, I play and I have the freedom to let creativity do its thing, to follow my heart, to follow the brush, and I always know it leads me to a finished painting I'm proud of. I've learned from all these hiccups, failures or mistakes, whatever you want to call them, and have always moved through each by taking action and not letting my ego or fear stop me in my tracks or getting me stuck. And it has allowed me to evolve and expand my artistry this way. If you're feeling a bit stuck in your creative process, you can't shake what's bothering you, or you've lost that eagerness or motivation to paint in the middle of a project, which is very huge inconvenience, well, I'd love to offer a bit of support. I've put together 7 ways to get unstuck. Think writer's block, creative block, you know, how to get unstuck from that. And I rely on these to keep my focus up and my mindset free of resistance to finish painting after painting after painting. And I've included the link to the blog post in the description below. Let's move on to the last thing I don't do when painting. Now, I'm a commissioned pet portrait artist, which means that people contact me to do a custom painting of their beloved pets. So I'm hired to paint their dog or their cat, like 4 here. And I accepted my first commission over 20 years ago, and I love working with my clients. So this is something I thrive on doing. My process of leading my clients to a place of healing has been wildly covered in the media, but I understand why many artists shy away from taking commissions, because unless you know what you're doing, the commission process itself can be exhausting and stop your creative flow. Here's one thing I never do during the commission painting process. Number 5, accept commissions with poor reference photos. How do you paint if the reference photo is bad? This is a common question that I get from fellow painters and students. My answer is, I don't. But I did for a long time. We've all done it because maybe we're just too afraid of turning down the work, or we said yes before we realized the client didn't have any good photos. At least those things are true for me. And to be honest, you can't do your best job if the reference photos a client sent you are bad. And if you can't do your best job, then the result will hurt your portfolio that you use to get more clients. And another reason is that we have to consider our own well-being. And staring at a poor reference photo for upwards of 80 hours like my portraits can take, well, that will leave me with eye strain and a bad headache. Been there. So what if you're stuck with poor reference photos? Well, ask for more and share why you need more with the client so they're aware of what's going on. Use several photos when you're painting. You know, even today I have good photos, but I still use 3 or 4 to kind of get references from and get the details from, or hone in on the color hues on one, or zoom in on the eyes on one, etc. Ask what breed it is. And if you're lucky, it's a purebred, and a quick Google image search can be your new best friend, and you can use that as one of your reference photos. Just be mindful of the user rights. All right, those are my 5 things I never do when painting acrylic pet portraits. Whether big or small, failures are learning opportunities. All my failures have made me a better painter, so I kind of celebrate the failures as well. They have helped me hone my proven painting process and gotten me to the step where I am today. In fact, you'll find detailed and technical lessons for sketching, background colors, signing your name, and how to work with your reference photos and your clients in my How to Paint a Dog Portrait online course. And I'll add the link in the description below for you. I'm sure I have lots of more failures in my future, but it's how I approach them and move through those experiences that will bring me from failure to success. And I think that's true for you too. And I know you can do this. I believe in you. I would love to hear your painting failures if you want to share them and what you've learned from them. Leave me a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to learn more from the studio.